First of all, I would like to thank you for the invitation and congratulations on the Congress. I'll be presenting the restoration of the panoramic wallpapers, a project I worked on with Sánchez, my colleague. Okay. After a brief introduction to the present project, I will describe the work carried out in three phases: a strip-off, restoration and reproduction, and wallpapering. The panoramic wallpapers in Llaguno Palace, a family house built at the end of the 17th century in Menagaray, Álava, a small village in northern Spain. The complete renovation of the house required due to humidity problems and cutworm infestation, made it necessary to remove the wallpapers for the conservation and subsequent reinstallation. In the regions, there were some inventory examples of wallpaper for the local factory founded in 1950, as well as imported. The room was entirely wallpaper, all in the wall, with a panoramic sense composed to 22 original number panels. One of the wall was not original. It's this one. And they have been recreated during the intervention in the 1960s. The objective of the first one was to recover all original fragments, and the fragment recover helped understand to the room and plan the work to restore unity, the sense, and bring them closer to the original state. The process consists in cleaning, humectation, and consolidation, stripper, and packing. And put one up video. No. What is happening? Where is he? Yeah.
Of the entire house, only the living room with panoramic wallpaper was deemed worth preserving. However, it required removal of the existing wallpaper. Dampness and cracks in the walls had caused staining and significant deterioration of the wallpaper panels, resulting in severe fragmentation and large areas of paper loss. During a renovation carried out in the 1960s, extensive overpainting was applied to large sections of the original decoration in an attempt to compensate for the losses, especially the sky and lower sections, and a substantial portion of the central panel, originally numbered 23. The discovery of original fragments removed during a historic intervention allowed for the documentation of the original polychromy and the complete design as selected from the Santa Isabel factory catalogue. Following solubility tests and surface cleaning, the paper support was consolidated in sections using a 1% methyl cellulose solution. This light humidification process enabled the consolidation of the pigment layer and softened the original adhesive, facilitating the safe removal of the wallpaper drops without compromising their structural integrity. The dismantling was carried out in reverse order to the original installation. First, the boulder rolls were removed, followed by the individual wallpaper drops from right to left, preserving the original overlaps. A small spatula was used to assist the process and minimize unnecessary tearing due to fragile condition of the paper. Two drops that had been sectioned during the original installation are particularly noteworthy. Our objective was to re-establish their visual continuity.
Okay, and the objective of the second phase were minimizing the handling risk, aqueous cleaning, and selection of the ideal adhesive for the whole process, consolidation, lining, and wallpapering. This is an explanation of the methodology we follow to avoid excess handling and dimensional change of the paper. The restoration was organized in two main tasks. Support restoration in a single drying process, and aesthetic restoration. Retouching was carried out using the rigatino technique, with walls ensuring matte, finish, and opacity. Recreation of the template using photo edition software based in the remain of the IADA rule and the floral wall, restoration and the retouching of original wall and the reproduction. And the next video.
Many of the wallpaper rolls were severely fragmented and exhibited residues of adhesive and wall material in the verso, which required careful mechanical cleaning. Wet cleaning based on a capillary system using the synthetic fabric Paraprind OL 60 on a slightly inclined surface allowed for the reduced handling risks when treating such damaged materials. The original were pre-rolled and placed onto moistened Paraprind and Holitex, avoiding the formation of distortion and creases. Some items required prior planning in order to reassemble fragments and recover their original dimensions. After approximately 6 hours of aqueous treatment, a uniform and thorough cleaning was achieved without affecting the original inks. Once the pictorial layer was protected with Holitex and a semi-rigid support such as mylar, the wet piece was safely transferred to the work table, where support restoration processes began. An adhesive mixture of MH300 methyl cellulose and stall starch paste on a 3:1 ratio was used, offering good strength and flexibility for performing infills, crack reinforcement, and full surface lamination. The residual moisture in the paper fibers after washing facilitated the adhesion of prepared infills. The support was then reinforced through a complete lamination using a continuous 7 grams per square meter tissue. The object was turned over and the edges were adhered to the table. Small relief cuts were made in tissue to prevent tension during air drying. After approximately 4 hours, the surface was covered with Holitex and a light cotton felt to ensure proper flattening. With the support fully stabilized, chromatic reintegration was carried out in the infilled areas. The same cleaning and restoration process was applied to the original wallpaper roll. The decorative border was reproduced using stencils on wallpaper WL100 premium wall liner. The baseboard was digitally reconstructed based on the remnants and covered during dismantling, allowing for a visual approximation of its original appearance. Chromatic reintegration was limited strictly to the areas of loss, respecting the original artwork. The final result was visually cohesive and successfully integrated. Many of the wall.
Okay, and the phase 3, the objective was reorganization of the panels and reversibility and recreation of the original design. The only option considered was to return the wallpaper to the wall, ensuring the reversibility. The new layout of the room required rethinking the placement of the scenes with one key premise: no cutting the original panels.
Changes in the room's dimensions required rethinking the scene to maintain visual coherence without cutting the original panels. A white undercoat was applied to prevent transparency. To ensure wall adhesion and reversibility, traditional wallpapering was used, with a bad joint technique and methylene universal adhesive. The original pieces were mounted using the same adhesive, applied to the intermediate lining paper, while the originals were lightly moistened with a sponge beforehand. The layout was adjusted by shifting one strip to the left, preserving panel integrity and visual flow. To rebuild the section altered in the 1960s, a neutral toned view of local hills was created, following the owner's criteria. The original border was reinstalled and the dado constructed from preserved fragments using a mylar template. One section was left exposed, showing original remnants, numbering, and the Santa Isabel factory stamp. Final steps included chromatic integration and retouching of minor losses, preserving a rare example of industrial heritage.
change.
And this is our main conclusion after a finished project. We wanted to work in a traditional way, but without the techniques and the materials. The development of the support of cleaning allows us to carry on a consecutive process more efficiently and more effectively, and by mounting the wallpaper directly on the wall using a specific lining paper. Thanks for the technological advance, it was possible to reproduce the detail roll from the very small survived fragment. Thank you very much for all.